A broader view of problem solving we could say as a joke that in life everything is an issue. The very term issue is socially connected with something antagonistic, an impediment that emerges when we didn't need it, monetary issue, conjugal issue, mechanical issue, and so on. To assign issues apparent decidedly, we utilize the term of challenge in case it is of an expert, dawning or individual nature, of play or of imaginative creation on the off chance that it doesn't appear to satisfy any utilitarian capacity. In these cases, the parts are something very similar, and the goal cycle is indistinguishable. What changes are the conditions and the mentality? Critical thinking and knowledge. The fixation on estimating knowledge, IQ, and the utilization of psychometric tests to choose or direct people in their instructive and expert improvement has enormously added to moving examination on insight away from basic inquiries like those of its turn of events and working, or more all, of its schooling. However, in a few decades, the forward leap in neuroscience, the investigation of how the cerebrum functions, and advances in man-made reasoning, savvy machines, because of the quick development of PC and correspondence's innovation, has brought us better approaches to plan human knowledge and how it functions. We are as of now seeing a widening of the idea of knowledge to general abilities like intentional arranging, tirelessness, adaptability, exactness, importance, control of impulsivity, the need to show what is being finished. Advance, hazard-taking, thought of others' perspective, actually taking a look at results, adhering to guidelines, sympathy, and so forth. From an origination of insight firmly connected to scholarly achievement, we continue on to a more common-sense origination, applicable to the goal of the 1001 issues of day-to-day existence. Hierarchical abilities are as central for the carport as they are for the physical science. Lab arranging is as much a need of the family economy, for what it's worth of composed piece. Moreover, abilities can't be disconnected from the emotional angles, convictions, and qualities that go with them. By capability is implied not just a disengaged ability, for example, tossing a ball, or a bunch of components, for example, those needed for perusing, yet additionally the passionate and social measurements which are indispensable to the human experience and are indivisible from the conditions we're in, at school, at work, or at home. The individual is brought to reflect and to attempt to tackle the issues which are presented to him. Here is the means by which an example of any populace of grown-ups, when gotten some information about their view of insightful conduct, portray those of a profoundly savvy individual. Sternberg, Conway, Kenton and Bernstein, 1981. These attributes fall into three classes: critical thinking, correspondence, social connections. 1. A smart individual can tackle functional issues. A smart individual reasons intelligently and, all things considered, distinguishes the connections between thoughts, sees all parts of an issue, keeps a receptive outlook, thinks about the thoughts of others, and comprehends them well. Circumstances, gets to the core of the issues, deciphers the data accurately, uses sound judgment, goes to the hotspot for his major data, represents the issues ideally, is a decent wellspring of thoughts, sees the ramifications and the ends, pays attention to all perspectives, ingeniously arranges issues. 2. A wise individual discusses his thoughts easily. A shrewd individual communicates his thoughts unmistakably, and in a well-spoken way, talks effectively, examines well, knows a specific part of a subject well, concentrates hard, peruses with generally excellent agreement, has numerous and changed readings, composed without trouble, holds time to peruse, exhibits a rich jargon. 3. A smart individual is friendly with his social environmental elements. A wise individual acknowledges others for what their identity is, concedes his missteps, shows interest on the planet as a rule, is on schedule for his dates, has a social still, small voice, thinks prior to talking and doing, shows interest, doesn't make rushed decisions, judges decently, is delicate to the necessities and needs of others, is honest and legit with oneself as well as other people, shows interest in their nearby climate. Qualities of proficient understudies. Analyzing the qualities of productive understudies uncovers that they experience countless investigation and learning procedures. They know why these methodologies are significant and when to apply them. They capably choose and deal with these systems, are exceptionally insightful and plan. They likewise hold fast to an advancing idea of insight. Warmly, they trust in the significance of cautious exertion, are inherently spurred, task-situated, and mean to dominate it. They are not scared of disappointments. Indeed, they understand that disappointments are fundamental for progress, and consequently they are not restless with regards to testing, but instead consider it to be a learning opportunity. They have concrete and numerous pictures of their conceivable selves, as much those that are dreaded as those that are wanted in the close and far-off future. As far as information, they know a ton of things on many subjects, and have speedy admittance to this information. By and large, they have been upheld in the advancement of these attributes by their folks, school and society in general. 5. Learning and critical thinking techniques. The utilization of the term technique has its beginnings in research in critical thinking, in brain science and schooling, just as in different disciplines, and in research in the specialized topic. Notwithstanding, the very term issue, frequently connected with arithmetic and material science, is currently characterized at a degree of oversimplification to such an extent that it is probably going to incorporate any circumstance in which an individual or a local area tries to find some kind of harmony between its inner requirements and outside pressing factors of the climate. In such a structure, the term critical thinking methodology takes the significance of activities did purposely on data to discover arrangements permitting a transformation to the current circumstance. In this wide perspective on issues and their settling, the learning system can be viewed as critical thinking. In a school setting, the learning exercises presented by instructors are expected wellsprings of transitory mental irregularity for understudies. The quest for another intellectual and emotional equilibrium drives the understudy to do the ideal learning or to look for a type of avoidance. He might be roused to do this figuring out how to dispose of a genuine or envisioned danger, to get a prize, to acquire confidence, or out of a genuine longing to know. In all cases, he will place into play the techniques he knows to accomplish his closures. Note, nonetheless, that albeit the ideas of learning and critical thinking are firmly related, they can't, notwithstanding, be completely compared with one another. Critical thinking and instructing. Achievement in learning doesn't rely upon supernatural occurrence plans or great study techniques. It appears to be that the adequacy of learning systems relies upon the manner by which every understudy adjusts them to genuine circumstances, and particularly on the level of mindfulness that he has of his own inspirations, of his unconstrained working, and of his ability to change. Intellectual effectiveness preparing will in this way mean to create in understudies the propensity for thinking about their methods of learning and critical thinking, on their own objectives, and on the methodologies that are applicable to accomplish these objectives in the unique situation and the given conditions. Learning through the goal of commonplace issues of those that the understudy will experience in the activity of his future calling, accordingly permits to foster not just the information and abilities explicit to a specific calling, however it additionally works with memory recovery. Also, the exchange of gained information in an expert circumstance. This learning strategy additionally advances the improvement of fitting mentalities to address the difficulties of numerous types that the quick development of callings forces. In any case, educators are as often as possible confronted with the need to work on interceding systems and perspectives adjusted to guarantee the improvement of crossover abilities in critical thinking in specific understudies, for the most part in trouble and unmotivated. Critical thinking and imagination. Imagination and critical thinking are indistinguishable, as indicated by many creators. The distinction between a purported standard goal measure and an alleged inventive goal interaction would lie for the most part in the idea of the actual issue. There are straightforward, direct and merged issues, information of a similar sort, a normalized approach, a solitary right answer, and complicated, non-straight and dissimilar issues, different information and measurements, way to deal with be designed, numerous potential arrangements. While the majority of the issues proposed at school are of the main kind, the issues of daily existence, or those of expert life, are fairly of the subsequent sort. The hypotheses and flow research on innovativeness show that the imaginative possible exists in everybody, that, a long way from being restrictive to the field of expressions and letters, this inventiveness is communicated in an extremely wide assortment of fields and subjects. with a likely practically boundless assortment of ways that individuals generally express their imagination, as indicated by their own advantages, inclinations, or style. Most importantly, they show that everything people can figure out how to utilize their scholarly assets, work fair and square of their manifestations, and in this way understand their potential all the more completely. A model of the critical thinking measure. Imaginative problem solving, CPS, is one of the most amazing known and best projects for further developing the innovative critical thinking abilities of individuals and associations. It is a critical thinking approach crafted by Alex Osborne, Sidney Parnes, Angelo Biondi, Scott Isaacson, Donald Treyfinger, and different analysts at the Center for Research on Creativity of the University of Buffalo, New York. It has the value of featuring the foundational part of any critical thinking measure, and of incorporating inventiveness as a focal factor simultaneously, and not as a particular advance. In many models, the critical thinking measure is separated into three principal parts: understanding the issue, searching for thoughts for arrangements, and picking and carrying out the picked arrangement. Albeit these three sections show up intelligently as such, countless progressive stages, by the noticed goal approaches are a long way from being as direct. The idea of certain issues frequently takes us back to the beginning stage, explaining our requirements and outlining the issue in an unexpected way. What's more, innovative individuals alternate applying different reasoning, duplicating alternatives, and merging reasoning, decreasing and picking the most encouraging choices to every one of these pieces of the interaction. Here is a common model, the one presented by the Creative Problem-Solving Program at the University of Buffalo: understanding the issue, identification of the need, data search, formulation of the issue, generation of arrangement, thoughts, action, arranging choice, and advancement of the arrangement action plan. Critical thinking procedures. Taking care of a perplexing issue is a bit like going through a maze. A few ways lead to impasses, so you need to return and attempt another way. In case one isn't mindful of the junction, on the off chance that one doesn't take note of the new tracks which open, the danger is extraordinary of getting lost. To take care of an issue effortlessly in class, as to escape a labyrinth, you need a decent information base identifying with the space of the issue. In any case, that is adequately not. We additionally need viable methodologies to direct the cycle. Among the procedures to be carried out, we track down the accompanying fundamental systems. Carefully and systematically investigate the circumstance. Go track down all the applicable data. Note, analyze, order, and hold fundamental data. Explore the various potential arrangements, and really look at their legitimacy. Evaluate and contrast the diverse substantial arrangements with guarantee the most ideal decision. Take stock to discover where we are, what we have realized, and the roads still to be investigated. Be that as it may, since people are not simply reason, feelings, sentiments, convictions, and mentalities assume a significant part by the way we approach issues. We are not every one of those relentless legends, resolute and difficult to reach to debilitation. Actually, the dread of the obscure, the bigotry of vulnerability, the scramble to determine what stresses us or disappoints us, surge us forward, make us string the main passageway that introduces itself, embrace the primary thought that rings a bell. On the off chance that we don't concoct a satisfactory arrangement rapidly, it is disappointment, anxiety, and frenzy. Impulsivity, control, and stress. The executives are significant enthusiastic methodologies, however we can likewise summon others. For example, change your view of the issue. Rather than considering it to be a cause of issue, or a danger to your own harmony, you can consider it to be a test, a chance to learn and fill in information and astuteness. Face challenges instead of trust that life will force them on us. Take joy in practicing scholarly resources on troublesome issues. Help each other in a climate of participation. Perceive trouble as a wellspring of learning. Congratulate and prize yourself for your endeavors, whatever the result. Characterize an issue. To shoot a bolt at the focal point of an objective, it is smarter to have a reasonable vision. The equivalent goes for taking care of new and complex issues. However long you don't have a reasonable thought of what is actually the issue, and an adequately exact vision of the objective you need to accomplish, it is hard to orientate your endeavors and hazardous to take on the principal arrangement that rings a bell. Soul. By and large, the issues proposed at school or college are very much organized issues. The normal outcome is determined, the information of the issue are totally given, of similar nature, and all pertinent. The requirements to be regarded are grounded and goal approaches are moderately normalized and have been drilled regularly. It is very unique for issues experienced in proficient or day-to-day existence, specialized issues, authoritative issues, monetary issues, medical conditions, relationship issues, and so on. It is first important to characterize the issue well, to look at if the clear issue doesn't stow away another to indicate the circumstance which is hazardous and to portray in what it is tricky, to more readily comprehend the beginning circumstance, and to think about the issue. Wanted circumstance. We should go around the issue, make a stock of accessible data to look for and difficult to reach data. It is likewise important to characterize the cutoff points inside which the arrangements should be looked for and the limitations which are applied on the tasks of goal. Exploring and producing arrangement speculations, assessing them, and settling on ultimate choice are later strides in the goal cycle. The nature of the arrangements picked will generally rely upon the earlier comprehension of the issue. The upsides of unmistakably characterizing an issue prior to attempting to settle it have an exact thought of what you are searching for, easier to recognize applicable data from that which isn't, reduce the sensation of bewilderment when confronted with another issue, provide enduring answers for issues. Wellsprings of data and information on the issue, investigating, noticing, and discovering important information about the risky circumstance unites fundamental data. A few classifications of information should be thought about. Information: whatever can be known, seen, determined, estimated, confirmed, found or derived with regards to the issue. Information: realities, individuals, and so on. Impressions, pictures, encounters, convictions, instincts, premonitions. Observations: whatever can be noted and recorded as new data by noticing the risky circumstance. Feelings: whatever can be detected through feelings, sentiments, and emotional responses to the issue. Questions: all that the issue raises, like addressing, vulnerability, interest, and which requires a quest for new information. Correlation and ensuing reflection distinguishes the main data, the one that merits more consideration. Quality in the quest for information is critical for understanding the issue and its definition. It should serve to break with a cliché discernment or a theoretical propensity. Discover data that might have been covered up, ignored, or thereabouts clear that it is as of now not seen. Take a stock of what we know and what we don't have the foggiest idea, and in this manner stay away from an untimely conclusion of the quest for information. Determine the need parts of the issue, those that require consideration. Consider the issue as extensively as could be expected, and from every single imaginable point. Identify stowed away connections between the different information. The definition of the issue. At this phase of understanding the issue, the significant thing is to look to figure the inquiry, or a bunch of explicit inquiries for which we need new and valuable answers. To begin with, we will attempt to define a few potential varieties around a similar topic. Besides, we will pick the most fitting and successful definition to direct the quest for arrangements. The plan of the issue is regularly more significant than its goal, which is maybe just an issue of numerical and trial expertise. To bring up new issues, additional opportunities, to take a gander at old issues from another point, it takes creative mind, and that is the thing that truly drives science forward. Einstein and Infield, 1938. The action word is more often than not the main word in the detailing of an issue, since it shows a bearing for the quest for an answer. You can utilize activity action word records to explore different avenues regarding various phrasings, until you track down the most ideal approach to introduce the issue. A commonplace phrasing will begin with "how should we?" or "how should this and that?" Investigate potential arrangements with technique. Looking for an answer for an issue that is new to yourself resembles entering an obscure area, in the event that you don't give yourself milestones, on the off chance that you don't draw up a guide of the spots as you go. we enter them, the danger is incredible of getting lost and going around and around. There is no broad strategy for critical thinking that can guarantee a straight, consecutive, rectilinear, and fruitful walk without fail. In such manner, PC and human insight don't utilize similar cycles, while its preparing speed permits the PC to cover every one of the potential tracks given by its program. Human knowledge favors a couple of tracks, which it decides from the information and experience obtained in the field concerned, because of unique mental cycles. Without a doubt, notwithstanding consistent thinking, human knowledge utilizes different strategies for goals still inadequately comprehended by trained professionals, instinct and exact investigation by progressive experimentation. The upsides of investigating the roads of arrangement systematically. Move towards a good arrangement as opposed to going around aimlessly. Make sure to investigate all encouraging roads until you track down the right one. Better recollect the arrangements previously investigated. Create and check the various arrangements. The main thought that rings a bell for taking care of an issue isn't really the right one. In the majority of the issues for which only one arrangement exists, alleged united issues, a few theories should be worked out and confirmed progressively until the one in particular that is appropriate is found. We have seen the significance of doing this in a smart, arranged and methodical way, on the off chance that we would prefer not to go around aimlessly. Yet, to wind up tracking down the right arrangement, it is as yet important to have fostered the propensity for working out every one of the potential theories, and not to be happy with the couple of thoughts that immediately ring a bell. To endeavor on a barren beginning. Speculation, or to take up thusly arrangement theories that don't prompt a productive and disappointing interaction, better pause and check whether there is no other conceivable arrangement that has not yet been thought of. The reality of having efficiently checked the previous theories normally drives us to re-evaluate the issue from an alternate point and to begin over again on new bases. Nonetheless, the vast majority of the issues experienced in everyday or expert life, regardless of whether specialized, authoritative, monetary, mental, or something else, are unique issues, in other words, issues commonly not extremely organized, for which there are numerous arrangements. This doesn't imply that this load of arrangements are of equivalent worth. A few arrangements are just brief fixes, others make a bigger number of issues than they settle, and lastly others just show their benefits. Long haul. The decision of a substantial arrangement will rely upon numerous contemplations on the connection between the objectives looked for and the resources to be taken to accomplish them, with their incidental effects and conceivable unreasonable impacts. In any case, to practice a genuine decision, it is additionally important that the scope of potential arrangements has been shown. The principal thought that rings a bell might be a substantial arrangement, yet it is infrequently the most creative and unique. Prior to deciding on it, we ought to subsequently give ourselves an opportunity to permit different choices to arise and create. The advantages of creating and checking every single imaginable arrangement. Choose the best arrangement. Make sure you don't pass up the right arrangement. Obtain the fulfillment of having settled on an educated decision. Pick and foster the arrangement. The assessment of the arrangement thoughts track down, the decision of an answer, and the arranging of its execution establish the third contributor to a critical thinking measure. Once more, there is nobody right approach to assess thoughts, nor one right approach to get them into the ideal climate. At the point when the opportunity arrives to settle on a choice, and relying upon the idea of the current issue, instinct and the heart's decision play as significant a job as rationale and the normal examination of thoughts against a refined rundown of weighted measures. Also, the instinct of things to come, the strength of a dream, crafty and strategy do as much as the best investigation of results and the most thorough of activity plans. The overall standard of uniqueness first, then, at that point intermingling, subsequently additionally. Applies to the decision of assessment rules, to the strategy for contrasting thoughts and each other too. The arranging of the execution of the picked arrangement. The motivation behind this third period of the critical thinking measure is to work with the examination and precise advancement of choices. In the event that the thought creation stage was exceptionally rich, we might end up with a few dozen potential arrangement thoughts, pretty much intricate in our grasp. The point isn't such a great amount to wipe out thoughts to track down the best one, however, to look at, alter, improve, and construct an answer from every one of the accessible thoughts. The basic soul should be utilized here too in a positive and valuable feeling of progress and solidification instead of destruction. This progression subsequently comprises of determine the qualities and shortcomings of the arrangement thoughts created to enhance a few and limit others. Reduce the alternatives to a gathering of appropriate choices. Select the most encouraging alternatives and choose which one will be created. Creation and choice of assessment standards. A measure is a method by which one can pass judgment on the pertinence and worth of an answer. Alternative. The standards have three fundamental capacities. They are utilized to sort, choose, and foster arrangement choices for which an execution might potentially be arranged. Sort. This activity comprises in looking at the changed choices utilizing every measure as an assessment instrument. It by implication makes it conceivable to take back to memory the different potential alternatives. Select. This activity comprises in isolating the alternatives which have a potential, those which meet a few of the fundamental models, from those which have nearly nothing, those which don't meet the base standards. Develop. This activity comprises of improving, upgrading, fortifying, explaining, streamlining, designing, supporting, and contending the choices chose, so they meet the limit of the measures held, fundamental and optional. There are a wide range of kinds of standards relying upon the idea of the issue, the quality and amount of arrangement choices, and the significance of the choice to be made. Deciding the models for assessing arrangement thoughts is hence a very circumstance explicit cycle. Notwithstanding, various essential classifications come up regularly. The costs, monetary expenses, financial, energy, and so forth according to accessibility of a similar request like spending plan, skill, the work that we are prepared to give, and so on. What amount does the arrangement cost? Would we be able to manage the cost of it? The climate, what is the earnestness? What amount of time will it require to make the arrangement functional? Does the arrangement save time? The plausibility, is the arrangement really relevant in the given setting? The adequacy, the arrangement does speak to those included? Will it be utilized? Will she meet opposition? The utility, the arrangement she brings something else? What's the advantage? Whatever the idea of the issue, the choice and detailing of the standards for assessing arrangement alternatives should satisfy some principal characteristics. Be significant, utilize your insight into the circumstance and current realities of the issue to shape the standards. Be clear, ensure that their phrasing is justifiable. Be succinct, ensure you form the most fundamental part of every model. Be predictable, make a point to consistently utilize the standard in the very sense as that which was at first characterized. Plan and carry out the picked arrangement. This last period of the critical thinking measure comprises of thinking about the likely wellsprings of help and opposition, recognizing the different advances that the execution of the arrangement should follow, and detailing an activity plan for the most intriguing arrangements. The goal is to guarantee the accomplishment of the execution of the picked arrangement. Recognizing wellsprings of help and opposition. Who are individuals prone to give what uphold? Who are individuals liable to upset, hurt, or go against the venture? What What are the items, things, or exercises that can help? Who are those that can obstruct the advancement of things? When and where? Is there an especially great general setting, date, cutoff times? How? For sure. What are the moves to make and the things not to do? Why? What are my contentions to safeguard my undertaking? What are the contentions that could be against me? Activity arranging. Contingent upon the extent of the task, the quantity of snags to survive, the quantity of individuals to persuade, the arranging of the activity can be straightforward or extremely mind-boggling. It tends to be fanned out after some time, prompt, present moment, and long-haul cutoff times. However, it should consistently consider an outline, the wide frameworks initially, while arranging the detail, area by area, and activity by activity, exact yet halfway perspectives. Troubles identified with perception shortfalls. All learning starts with entering and handling the data accessible, just as discovering missing data. The shortfall of the need, the deficiency in the abilities, or unfortunate quirks as far as perception, investigation, and preparing of the information of the circumstance bring about shortages in intellectual execution. It is, that is, the nature of the learning or the goal of the issue experienced. This blend of emotional and intellectual elements gives off an impression of being one of the absolute first wellsprings of disappointment in school learning, as well as in taking care of day-to-day existence issues. Decreased investigation and inadequate information assortment. Practically zero inclination to expect the perceptions to be made. The understudy stands by latently to be determined what to watch. He doesn't attempt to figure the goal of the instructor. Almost no propensity to see in a methodical, exact and complete way. The understudy sees without technique and cursorily the learning circumstance or the issue. He doesn't want to be finished and explicit enough as he continued looking for data, or then again in the event that he wants to, he is awkward in his method of doing it. Lacking or off-kilter association of data. Almost no propensity to recognize the significant from the coincidental. The understudy treats all the data assembled as though it were of equivalent worth. The fundamental is suffocated in a surge of optional subtleties, even pointless for the goal of the issue. Practically no inclination to efficiently look at similitudes and contrasts. The understudy doesn't want to analyze things which are similar to recognize them from each other. Neither does he want to unite things that have all the earmarks of being distinctive in nature, however share highlights for all intents and purpose. Or then again it simply thinks about all around the world, rather than contrasting part with part. He hence confounds words, equations, activities, methods when they have numerous comparable attributes, and doesn't see the personality of specific capacities when the surface construction is unique. Absence of comprehension and misinterpretations. Next to zero inclination to connect perceptions and data to one another to give them meaning, the understudy is happy with the clearest connections. He doesn't suddenly look for circumstances and logical results, joins among occasions and marvels. It doesn't extrapolate what might have occurred previously and what could occur after. He doesn't anticipate or minimal the results of his activities. He doesn't make a decent attempt to get what gets away from him from the start. He likes to trust that clarifications will come to him from others.